Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 17th, and it is day 19 of the Cry Mercy virtual book tour. Okay, I'm lying. Actually, it's yesterday. Due to time zone differences, I'm shooting this the afternoon before, and I changed shirts thinking I would fool you all. Did it work? No? Oh well. My host today is UK pro writer, and Russell, the host, has sent me some questions that he'd like me to answer, so I'm going to go ahead and do so. And if you're really lucky, you may have a cat appearance, not from Oscar, but from the you keep hearing me talk about on Twitter, the next door neighbor's cat. Well, I just heard a little slam of the door, which indicates to me that he has found his way in. And a suspicious crunching tells me he has found his way. Yes, he has, to the self-filling food dish, which is the reason he stops over here as often as he can. Russell asks me, what inspires you to write? You know, I get that question a lot, and I don't know what it means. I think there's just stories in writers, and they have to come out. I've heard people talking about having a muse. I don't know what that means either. It says I have to write this stuff down one way or the other. It's so I may as well make a living at it. 2, do you write daily? And if so, what is your daily writing routine? Well, I try to write daily, and I usually write daily. And my routine is to get up and write first thing in the morning. Now, oh, see, I've been revealed. The clock just rang too, so you know it's not even morning, it's afternoon here. Uh, and when, like with this virtual book tour, on most mornings I get up very early and, you know, clean myself up enough to be seen on camera, and then shoot a video, and then process it into a movie, and then upload that video on YouTube, and then send it off to my host. And it's kind of disrupting my morning routine, because I've discovered that if I don't get up and write first thing in the morning, it's really hard for me to get started. And I use this really cool tool called Write or Die. It's, if you look it up, it's Dr. Wicked's Write or Die. And it's a great way to kind of get started when you're not in the groove, or on those days when you think, I don't have time to write, because you can set the timer and you can set it for 5 minutes. I tend to either set it for 10 or 15. And then you put in a word count goal, and I generally, for every 5 minutes, I'll do 100 words. So I'll say, 15 minutes, 300 words. And then you start to type it in, and it takes the text, and depending on the setting, oh, somebody's driving very fast on the nearby state highway. And if you're from my area, or if you're from New England, you know that a, quote, highway, a state highway means a 2-lane road, but it's got a fairly high speed limit, so every now and then I get some loud car noises. What I was going to say is you're riding along, and what happens is if you pause for too long, it starts punishing you by making evil noises or whatever. I like this because you can always find 5 minutes to write. I don't care how busy your day is. And it's also a great jump start because I never feel like stopping once I actually make myself start. So when you see me posting on Twitter, Toni posted X number of words in 10 minutes on Write or Die, it's because I was needing to settle myself down and start writing now. What is Cry Mercy about? Well, okay, Cry Mercy, let me get the book here. It's the 3rd book in a series, and I've got all 3 right here in my bookcase, and I'll show them to you together. They look very nice when you line them up, which I'm going to attempt to do. Hold up 3 books with 2 hands. Voila. Is that working out? Okay. We get him in front of the camera. Here we go. Okay. Mercy, the first line of the first book says, I've never been certain I'm human. I always loved that opening line. I really think that's what sold the book, was that opening line. Mercy has the ability to compel people to obey her, which sounds cool but gets her in a lot of trouble. And the first book's about what happens when she was abandoned at birth, so she doesn't know who or what she is. But this book's about what happens the first time she meets somebody else like herself and discovers she's not the only one. And in the second book, one of her clients, she's a hypnotherapist, one of her clients turns out to be a battered woman and pulls Mercy into the world of exploited children, which is really an ugly world, and she has to use her powers to help people. And in the third book, she one of her friends, and she's never really had friends before, so she's not real comfortable with that, needs help getting out of a gang. And he wants to get himself and his little brother out of a gang. And his little brother doesn't want to go. So that makes things complicated. And of course, we have the continuing story of Mercy trying to figure out what her origins are. So that's what they're about, basically. Are there any more books in the pipeline? Yes, I have just, I don't actually have the signed contract yet because we're still going over very small details, like deadlines and number of author copies. But yes, I've got a firm offer from the publisher for 3 more books in that area. I'm working on a straight-ahead women's fiction, and I also have a contemporary romance proposal making the publisher rounds right now. When you were writing Crime Mercy, did you follow a plan, or did you write it as and when? I'm a plotter. There's kind of a controversy in the writing world between plotters, who pretty much know how the story is going to go before they start chapter 1, and pantsters, who just kind of have an idea or maybe a character and sit down and write by the seat of their pants. I think all you pantsters are in deep, deep denial. You say you're writing a book. What you are writing is a rough draft. Now, everybody should write a rough draft, but I don't write an entire rough draft first. I write a rough draft of a chapter, then I clean it up, then a chapter, then I clean it up, or a scene and I clean it up. So this doesn't mean that things don't change as I go along and my characters don't surprise me and I don't end up, you know, with a slightly different book than I originally planned. But yeah, I have a pretty good outline before I start. Then he says, how long did it take to complete the novel from the germ of the idea to the finished product? I don't know. I think probably for the finished products, maybe about 4 or 5 months, maybe a little longer than that. Maybe 5 or 6 months. But each book is different. I have a 6-month deadline for my next book from the time I start it to the time I finish it. So I'm going to have to be pretty efficient. I have critique partners, so I generally try to give them at least 1 chapter a week. And if there are 20 chapters, 20 weeks, that's, you know, that's a good chunk of the time, and that's without revisions and cleaning it all up and getting it to my editor. So I'd say that I have written a book in a month, and then revised it maybe for another month, but that was a really unusual case. Is the book self-published or traditionally published? It is traditionally published by a mass market, as a mass market paperback. Mira is owned by Harlequin Silhouette. It is their non-romance line. Harlequin Silhouette is huge. You probably associate them with the small category romances that, you know, have titles that seem to include the words billionaire and secret baby, and hey, that certainly does constitute a big percentage of their income, and those are doing really, really well in this economy. Okay, people love a little happy ending when things are a little rough in their life. But Harlequin Silhouette has a lot of lines, not just those categories. And there's a lot more categories than you're probably aware of. And they sell, you know, all over the world. Oh, and there's my phone ringing. Let me just, we'll just turn that ring right off. Okay, hope that wasn't important. And I'm not going to start over because of that. Anyway, they have their distribution is good. They have worldwide distribution. Mira isn't automatically translated into other languages like some of their other lines are automatically, but some of them are. And I believe that the next 3 books in the series are going to be translated into other languages, so that's kind of exciting. Where can my readers learn more about you and your work? Well, they should go to my website, which is www.toniandrews.com. Now, from there, I've got links all over the place. I've got my personal blog, which I haven't really been keeping up during this virtual book tour since I'm all over the place. But if they click on the Crime Mercy virtual tour link, they can see where I am each day with a different video. I've also got a television show. There's links there. There's this, they're all over the place. You can find things about me by Googling me. And I'm running out of time as usual. Finally, have you got anything you'd like to add? All I have time to add is see you soon. Bye.